Welcome to the epic saga of the Roman Empire, where power, betrayal, and ambition shape the course of history. Today, we're diving into the fascinating stories that define this ancient civilization, a world of conquerors, emperors, and ordinary people caught in the crossfire of destiny. From the sun-kissed hills of Italy to the farthest corners of Europe, Asia, and Africa, Rome's influence once stretched across the known world. But beneath the glory of its legions, the splendor of its architecture, and the wisdom of its laws lay a web of intrigue, greed, and bloodshed that would ultimately lead to its downfall. Let's embark on a journey through the most captivating stories of the Roman Empire, stories that remind us that even the mightiest civilizations are built on human drama. Our first story begins with a man who embodied the virtues of Rome at its zenith, Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king. A just ruler, a wise thinker, and a military leader, Marcus Aurelius is often remembered as the last of the five good emperors. But what makes his story so compelling is not just his wisdom, but the storm clouds gathering on the horizon during his reign. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome during a time of relative peace and prosperity, but his reign was not without challenges. The empire was plagued by external threats, from the Germanic tribes along the Rhine and Danube rivers to the Parthian Empire in the east. Internally, Rome faced economic strain, a declining birth rate among its citizens, and the ever-present threat of plague. Yet, Marcus Aurelius navigated these challenges with philosophical stoicism, earning the admiration of his people. But his reign also set the stage for one of the most infamous tales of Roman history, the rise of Commodus, his son and successor. Commodus was the opposite of his father in every way. While Marcus Aurelius was a man of reason and restraint, Commodus was a man of indulgence and madness. His reign would mark the beginning of Rome's decline into chaos. When Commodus ascended to the throne, he was just 18 years old. At first, he tried to emulate his father, but it wasn't long before his true nature emerged. He became obsessed with gladiatorial combat, often participating in the games himself, and he ordered the construction of elaborate statues and monuments in his honor. But Commodus's megalomania went beyond mere vanity. He began to see himself as a living god, renaming Rome Colonia Commodiana, and demanding that the Senate worship him as such. The Senate, already wary of Commodus's erratic behavior, grew increasingly fearful of his instability. They conspired against him, but their attempts to overthrow him only fueled his paranoia. In 192 AD, Commodus was strangled in his bath by a wrestler named Narcissus, acting on the orders of a group of conspirators. His death marked the end of the Pax Romana, the Roman peace, and the beginning of a period known as the Year of the Five Emperors, when Rome was plunged into civil war. Our next story takes us to the battlefield, where another drama was unfolding, one that would forever change the course of Roman history. In the 2nd century AD, Rome faced a formidable enemy, the Parthian Empire, a vast and powerful state that stretched from modern-day Iran to the borders of India. The Romans and Parthians had long been rivals, but their conflict reached its peak during the reign of Emperor Trajan. Trajan is remembered as one of Rome's greatest military leaders, a man whose conquests expanded the empire to its greatest extent. But his story is not just one of conquest, it's also a story of diplomacy and ambition. Trajan's most famous campaign was against Dacia, a region in modern-day Romania, which he conquered in 2 brutal wars. The spoils of these wars were immense, filling Rome's coffers and earning Trajan the adoration of his people. But Trajan's greatest challenge came when he turned his sights on the Parthian Empire. His campaign was a stunning success at first, with Roman legions capturing the Parthian capital of Ctesiphon and extending Roman influence into the heart of the East. However, Trajan's victories came at a great cost. The campaign was exhausting, both financially and militarily, and the conquered territories were difficult to hold. Moreover, Trajan's health began to decline, and he eventually died in 117 AD while on campaign. Trajan's successor, Hadrian, would take a very different approach to empire building. Unlike Trajan, Hadrian was a pragmatist who believed in consolidating Rome's gains rather than pursuing further expansion. He famously built Hadrian's Wall in Britain to mark the northern boundary of the empire, and withdrew Roman forces from some of the territories Trajan had conquered. Hadrian's reign marked the beginning of a new era in Roman history, one of defense rather than conquest. But the empire's greatest challenge came not from its external enemies, but from within. The Roman Empire was a vast and diverse state, encompassing people of countless cultures, religions, and languages. This diversity was both its strength and its weakness. One of the most fascinating stories of Roman history is the rise of Christianity, a small Jewish sect that would eventually become the dominant religion of the empire. The early Christians faced fierce persecution under Roman rule, particularly during the reign of Emperor Nero, who blamed them for the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD. Nero's reign was a time of terror for Christians, with thousands being executed in brutal ways. Some were crucified, others were burned alive, and still others were fed to wild beasts in the arena. Yet despite this persecution, Christianity continued to spread, fueled by the devotion of its followers and the power of its message. One of the most dramatic stories from this period is the tale of Saint Perpetua, a young Christian woman who lived in Carthage during the reign of Emperor Septimius Severus. Perpetua was arrested for her faith and thrown into prison, where she awaited her execution. While in prison, she kept a diary that has survived to this day, offering a unique glimpse into the mind of a Christian martyr. Perpetua's diary is a testament to her courage and faith, as she faced her fate with unwavering determination. In the end, Perpetua and her companions were led into the arena, where they were attacked by wild beasts and eventually beheaded. Their deaths were just two among the countless acts of violence that marked the Roman Empire's relationship with Christianity. Yet, as the centuries passed, the faith that Perpetua and others died for would become the official religion of the empire, shaping the course of Western civilization. Our final story takes us to the end of the Western Roman Empire, a tale of decline, fall, and the enduring legacy of Rome. By the 4th century AD, the empire was in crisis. It had been divided into Western and Eastern halves, with the Western Empire facing increasing pressure from external enemies, including the Huns, the Goths, and the Vandals. The empire's economy was in shambles, its military was overstretched, and its political system was corrupt and unstable. One of the most dramatic episodes in this period was the sack of Rome by the Visigoths in 410 AD, led by the chieftain Alaric. The sack of Rome was a traumatic event for the empire, marking the first time in over 800 years that the city had been breached. But what makes this story even more intriguing is the role of Alaric himself. Alaric was not just a barbarian warlord. He was a complex figure who had once served as a Roman general and had even been baptized as a Christian. His decision to sack Rome was not just an act of conquest, but also a personal betrayal of the empire he had once sworn to protect. The Western Roman Empire finally came to an end in 476 AD, when the Germanic king Odoacer deposed the last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus. The fall of Rome was not just an event, it was a process, a slow unraveling of the institutions, values, and beliefs that had held the empire together for centuries. Yet even as the Western Empire fell, the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, would survive for another 1,000 years, preserving Roman culture and law for generations to come. As we reflect on the stories of the Roman Empire, we are reminded of the enduring power of human ambition, the fragility of power, and the resilience of ideas. Rome's legacy can be seen in the languages we speak, the laws we follow, and the art and architecture that inspire us. But perhaps the greatest lesson we can learn from Rome is that Even the mightiest civilizations are not immune to the forces of decline and fall. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the stories of the Roman Empire. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more fascinating tales from history. And if you have a favorite Roman story or figure you'd like to see explored in the future, let me know in the comments below. Until next time, farewell, and may the gods smile upon your journey through time. Like, share, subscribe for more stories.